As with in Ohio, a lot is going to come down to whether or not which side gets their voters out.
This is Professor Richard Stanislaw appearing on TV2 during its 2012 election coverage. Stanislaw was a frequent and credible source used often on TV2.
In a sense, it's that simple. I mean, there are lots of different ways to game out the election map.
TV2 General Manager Katie Caduto says Stanislaw was the go-to source for politics.
All right, well, we use Professor Stanislaw on a lot of our political coverage, especially in the last year when we had the presidential election. He was a very reliable source for us. He was very good about coming to the studio, showing up, giving great interviews. He had a lot of really good insight that we knew we could use, and it would be coming from a trustworthy, credible source.
As a full-time faculty member in the political science department, Stanislaw was popular amongst many students. Scott Thomas is a junior from Wadsworth.
My favorite part was he had the ability to get the whole class to get into a discussion so that it would become something that the whole class was a part of instead of like select students.
And senior Mark Baldessari from Murraysville, Pennsylvania.
Because he was the kind of one of the guys in the political science department that almost everybody knew, and everyone who didn't have him was excited to have him.
Stanislaw received the Outstanding Teaching Award for the 2011-2012 school year, given to the top non-tenure track faculty members at Kent State. Stanislaw carried his success from the classroom to student media. He was featured on many student media programs, appearing on the student radio station, Black Squirrel Radio, and even having a full 3-page feature article in the 2013 spring edition of the student magazine, The Burr. The Daily Kent Stater listed Stanislaw as one of the top 5 most popular professors on campus in the spring of 2012.
Stanislaw's popularity and accolades came to an end when the political science department failed to renew his contract for the 2013-2014 school year. But the question is, why?
There's no explanation from the political science department, as it says the department does not comment on personnel matters. And while the poli-sci department isn't talking, Stanislaw is.
There were a lot of students who got a lot out of my classes, and my chair and my department felt differently.
But a look into Stanislaw's personnel file reveals a document that states 2 significant problems the political science department had with Stanislaw, one with his teaching and the other with his credentials. In an interview with Stanislaw, he said his contract was not renewed because the faculty advisory committee did not agree with his teaching methods.
The reasons that they gave were that there were not sufficient learning outcomes in my classes, and basically that in a variety of ways that I was not a good teacher. I was an ineffective teacher.
A university document states that during his review for contract renewal, the committee raised concerns that Stanislaw had still not completed his PhD. The same document states that in Stanislaw's original application for employment at Kent State University, he listed 2004 as the year of expected completion of the doctorate. Although Stanislaw was a non-tenure track faculty member and was not required to hold a PhD, in the letter notifying Stanislaw that his contract would not be renewed, the chairperson of the political science department, Andrew Barnes, said you were clearly hired with the expectation that you would make progress toward a doctorate, and you have actively misrepresented the fact that that would not and could not happen. A records check revealed the last time Stanislaw was enrolled as a PhD student at Purdue University was in 2001, and is listed as a less than half-time student at that time. But according to Stanislaw, his incomplete PhD was not something he tried to cover up.
The fact that I did not complete my PhD was a secret to no one, and actually something I even talked about quite publicly.
Also in Stanislaw's non-renewal letter, Kent State's Department of Political Science had significant questions and concerns about his teaching style. The letter written by Andrew Barnes says, standing alone, the concerns regarding your pedagogical approach, and even more disconcerting, the lack of learning outcomes experienced by some students are significant enough to seriously entertain non-renewal. Stanislaw explained that he thinks the faculty advisory committee didn't agree with his teaching philosophy.
I feel good about my contributions here, and I would not have done it differently than how I did it in terms of how I saw my role as a faculty member, as a teacher, as part of the university.
Although Stanislaw is no longer teaching, he said he wouldn't have changed anything.
If I have to put up PowerPoint slides and give lots of objective exams where people are just spitting back some facts to me that I think they will forget almost immediately, I don't want to do that. I don't think I'd even be particularly good at that.